Welcome to the MRX Influencers Podcast, where you come for the insights, but stay for the good times. I'm Dan Fleetwood, and on this podcast, I chat with the best and brightest minds in the research space. On this episode, I chat with Tim Cornelius, who is Director of Audience here at QuestionPro. We talk about cannabis research and specifically the budtenders panel that QuestionPro has built. I hope you enjoy this conversation that I have with Tim.
We made it.
Let's bring in Tim as our guest today. Tim.
Woo! Hey, Tim.
Welcome.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good, good. I thought that this was the 1 year and you guys were bringing me on special.
Oh, no, that's later on, Tim.
Awkward.
I was like, I don't even think I remember what day it is. I'm going to have to look it up.
I know. I can't even get my sayings right, Tim, so I know.
Yeah. Nose
no,
to the
awesome.
wire,
Tim,
right?
Thanks for coming on today. I know what I wanted to talk about is the budtender panel that we've been building in U.S. and Canada. Talk about that and just have a larger kind of panel conversation around cannabis, budtender panel, and so forth. Talk about why we built it, who's the ideal clients, and so forth. So I think let's start off with talking around sort of the landscape in U.S. and Canada around this, and obviously legislature, different things getting passed with legalization and so forth. But do you have any data around this, Tim, around the changing landscape in the U.S. and Canada, or kind of talk about that as we kick things off here?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've been seeing historically is researchers and licensed producers in the United States looking to speak to only the states that have made it legal. As the sweeping legislation makes more states legal, there's a rush to get into the consumers that are in the states that are newly adopting cannabis as a legal item. What this means is you're going to have a new crop, a new entire segment of budtenders in those states that are qualified to give their opinion on how they feel about certain strains or certain products. It's actually illegal in Canada to give direct advice, as in you should try this product. What I find when I speak to the budtenders one-on-one is the easiest way that most of them work around it is, hey, I tried this. This is what I felt.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So they're not allowed to directly tell you, hey, try this one, try that one. But it's really, they say, go talk to your doctor. Whatever your doctor says, try that. But, you know, with everything else, it's really interesting because when you think about the prohibition in the United States, you think about it was all, you know, hush hush under, pull the rug over it or on top of it, Dan. What is the saying?
Man, I don't know. I'm messing these things up.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
It could be on top, it could be under, whatever you say.
But yeah, so like you had completely people that were born before it and, you know, that lived through the prohibition. And then they had all these different products. They had whiskeys, they had vodkas, they had things like that. A lot of them who weren't breaking the law were saying, you know, what do I do? Which one do I pick? What is the benefits of this and that? What are the different profiles and things like that? So when I think about it becoming newly legal, there has to be a education of, you know, who do you trust for that advice? Who are you going to speak to? A lot of the times it's your doctor. But when you go to a bar in a place that you've never been, a country you've never been, sometimes you just ask the bartender, like, what's good here? Type of thing.
Right.
So that's where QuestionPro is able to step in and help out, just let you know.
I think that makes sense. You bring up some good points there around, you know, sort of the expertise that they have and who do you ask for what and so forth, especially with probably a lot of new people getting into the space. So I know research, a lot of companies have been wanting to do research with the budtenders, so we have access to that. So what is the budtenders panel, and maybe speak a little bit about that? Or Crystal, I guess, has raising her hand, has a question before we get to that. So jump in.
Is a budtender a phrase we came up with, or is it like a thingamajig, like a person, like an actual non-QuestionPro made up word?
Yeah, no, it's actually an industry term. So when you go to a bar, it's like a bartender. You can't just go back into a restaurant or a bar and go behind the counter and grab your product. That's the same thing that a budtender is. So a little clarification there is good. Thanks for asking.
I thought it was something you made up.
No, not that clever. But no, when you go into a store in Canada and the United States, they have these plexiglass countertops, and sometimes they have stuff like a jewelry counter. And you go in there and, you're either sent by your doctor, or if it's legal, you just walked in there. But you look at the products and you ask all the questions that you have. There's no stupid questions to ask. Not all of the products are psychoactive at all. Some of them just have different strains of different types of chemicals that are found in cannabis. And they really address a lot of health problems, as well as the people that are looking for the psychoactive components that cannabis has.
Interesting.
Nice.
So what is the budtenders panel, Tim? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. The budtenders panel is access to the people that readily have the products behind. So it's the guy behind the counter. Imagine going to, like I said, a foreign country where you know nothing about the liquor and just saying, what's good at a restaurant? What's good on the menu? I don't know. I'm new here. The budtenders are the people who point you in the right direction, that tell you without telling you what you can expect from a certain product, what benefits they receive. So if you are an LP, you're able to find out, why do budtenders like my product? Why do they like my brand? Do they like my flower variant versus my drinking variant versus my edible variant? Things like that. So we're finding
That's awesome.
So our budtenders are the, whenever you ask Siri or you ask Alexa or your Google Home, it's not about cannabis. I haven't done that.
Not about cannabis.
But whenever you ask it, it usually spits out, here's your result. And if you're just listening and not looking at your screen, you get one answer. So if you have that one answer, then you're going to go with that one answer. Like, where's a coffee shop around me? I'm going to go there. Budtenders are saying, hey, you should try this product because this is what it did for me, type of thing. So the most influential person in the cannabis buying process.
Got it.
And then
no, go ahead.
So this would be useful for people like Leafly, which is like the largest cannabis magazine online. They're actually going public on the New York Stock Exchange in the next couple weeks. So this would be great for them if they wanted to put out articles or, various reports saying like, hey, we researched these questions with this panel of, I don't know, I'm assuming you verify them somehow. Budtenders. I can't say it. It makes me laugh every time. It's like series of budtenders. And so they would use our panel for their research. And then instead of being like, we made this research up by like interviewing our friends, it was like, no, we like interviewed professionals who are qualified for this.
Yeah, absolutely. You got it right. That's so definitely a good use case. So content is great. Understanding the bigger picture here is understanding products over time. When new products hit the market, how are they received? Are they even recommended? Do they get, whenever I think about this, I think about, you see a product, you like a product, you know where it came from, but like where actually did it come from and how is it comprised? What is the quality? It's a product. So like, you might like Gruyere cheese, but brand A is different than brand B. So it's really evolving market.
Interesting. So of these budtenders, what profiles can people expect to segment on, or what do we have? What information do we have about them? Maybe is a better way to phrase it.
So all of our members, we have a phone number, email address, social profile. We also have how long they've been a budtender, how big is their chain? Are there additional chains? Do they work for the government in Canada? Do they personally use cannabis, and what types of cannabis do they use? And lots of different profiles. So geo, where they're located, where they're from, just lots of stuff that it's really kind of in the terms and conditions that you would kind of be scared about, but it's great.
Nice. All right. That makes sense. So what are the top 3 reasons that we built the panel, Tim? What would you say that in terms of like, obviously it's growing in popularity and so forth, but what are some other ways or reasons why we decided to build this panel?
Absolutely. So we've been driving efforts in Canada with Dan Jackson. And what we've been doing there is, as a sample company, what do? We look for who is asking what questions and what are the hard to find audiences. So
great point.
We found out that no one in the market was able to reach this target. And I thought, why is that? Is it legally not available? And then I found out that the reason was it's just a really hard target. So I did a lot of due diligence and a lot of verification to find out that, this is a target that it seems like not a lot of people can reach. And so when you have a request to speak to bud tenders, a single source of truth, you go to QuestionPro. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. The way that we're recruiting is building very quickly. A lot of our bud tenders are referring their coworkers and things like that. So, because
it's not like they don't want to share their knowledge. Now that I know they have an official name, I just any bud tenders I've ever interacted with, I mean, they want to tell you everything. It's like their passion, their hobby, all combined into, plus their job, all combined into one.
Right. And think about if you're doing your own job every day of recommending products and telling people how you feel about them, why wouldn't you join an association that pays you for doing your job the same way?
Pays you extra to do your job. Right.
Pays you a good amount, more than your hourly rate for just 15 minutes of your time.
Interesting. So who would this be good for, Tim? We obviously have the suppliers, the shops, obviously firms doing research on the cannabis industry. Is it everybody that would be a good use case for, or what are the ideal use cases, and who should want to use this or reach out if they want to?
Sure. So this is a very tight-knit community. I hate, being someone who sells something, I hate saying that it's, not available to everyone. I wanted to sell it to everyone, but we have certain guidelines that we have to follow with legal issues, as well as we want our bud tenders to be protected. We want them to be paid what they earn. But I would say that this is available for the producers. This is available for, even the independent shops that are out there saying like, hey, the shop down the street is a chain and they're eating my lunch every day with the way that their bud tenders are selling their products. So I'd say, brands, LPs, there's a ton of different people in the cannabis space that can give you consumer data, but there's really not too many that can give you the business to business side.
Another
in the
question.
Back, Crystal.
When you say LPs, what do you mean by that?
Licensed
Pretend
producer.
we don't. There it is. Licensed producers. Okay, thank you. I was like, you said it twice, and the first time I let it go because I was like, whatever. And then the second time I was like, I don't know where we're going.
This comes back again. No, I think I asked him that question earlier, or a couple weeks ago. No, so that makes sense. So it's really, if you want to do product research, you can do product research. If you want to do in-store sort of sales research, what are bud tenders saying about my product? We can help you out in that way as well. So really kind of runs the gamut. I think what's interesting, we've been getting a lot of requests from, I think, all 4 different phases of the research industry, from not only suppliers, but also people doing research on the industry, and just, collection at large is kind of interesting. But like Tim, you said, you can't open it to everybody, because then it'll just become flooded with so many requests. So, really, because we are keeping it, tight knit, and, don't want to just kind of expose.
Well, you don't want to dilute the people, you don't want to dilute the experience either. It looks like Steve has a question, though.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Well, he had a funny comment first, but his real question. Lots of dispensaries have opened near me in California, but many people don't have dispensaries near them. Any insights about consumer preferences for in-store versus delivery service, like Ease delivers on your app?
Absolutely. That's a
versus
great
the in-store experience?
Yeah. And with COVID, it's more regulated. That's a great question. So that's a great use case for the companies that have their product and you're able to ship it out. There's companies out there that are public, like Weed Maps, that are able to, I'm pretty sure you can advertise there. So you want to know what the bud tender says about your product if they're only interacting with an online UI. So you take the recommendations from the bud tender and you put that in your offering, and you're able to kind of back into, pretty much the answers to the test of, if the person wasn't to come in and interact with our great front of the house staff here, what would they want? What would they want mentioned in that product? We are seeing a lot of, for the last year, we've been seeing a lot of transitioning to delivery services, which comes with a lot of legalities and standards of care and who's responsible for what when. But it's very interesting consumer data. So definitely want to dig deeper into that.
Also do like a bud tender recommended, but then and have it be trusted by like a third party like QuestionPro, because it's not just your bud tenders like recommending it, right? Where people are like, this is the number one service. And like, number one, could you own it?
Yeah. And then on our Instagram, we're going to be doing bud tender spotlights, which are going to be bud tender recommended products, but not tied to QuestionPro.
Yeah.
To see that these are real people out there. So
not tied to QuestionPro. Wink, wink. Yeah. No.
Wink, wink. As we all from QuestionPro sit here and talk about it.
No, I like that. So Tim, you brought some data with you. This is from the bud tender panel. Is that right?
Yes.
So title, it looks like we sent it out to a few people. So this is an example of some of the data that they can get. Is that right?
Yeah, you might want to refresh it here.
Okay.
It's still coming in, if you don't mind.
Here we go. So
this was sent just to our bud tenders. Those are some other titles we have within the panel from B2B.
So growers, extractors, testers, inspectors, dispensary managers, and so forth. So these we segmented just to the bud tenders, I'm guessing, inside of the panel.
Yep.
And then, questions like, do you work in a government or individual chain dispensary? So you can see.
Oh, interesting.
Government, individual chain. So that's actually good data. Are these profile fields, Tim, or these are just questions that you asked in the survey?
I asked them again to reaffirm and match to their profiles, but yes, they are profiled and targetable fields.
Got it. Okay, so these are things we can obviously target by. Do you recommend to your customers by brand or by product? So it looks like more people recommend by product than by brand, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Would product mean how it's distributed, like how it's synthesized, like whether it would be like a pen or a gummy or et cetera, or?
Exactly. It would be like,
I was like, I don't know the difference between those.
Yeah. It would be like brand A flower, brand A drink, brand B drink, brand B flower. So they might say brand A drink, brand B flower.
Got it. And then would you be open to a 60-minute discussion, so more qualitative work? So 41 or 40% of people said yes. So quite a bit. You can get some good information there. Obviously, you don't need large numbers for a qualitative type study. So that's interesting. Some of the information.
Yeah, we wanted to find out how many people in our panel. It's strictly quantitative, but we are opening it up to small qualitative through the QuestionPro platform. So I wanted to see how many people are open for additional incentive for an hour of their time.
Yeah, and 60 minutes is a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's plenty of time. Awesome. Tim, well, what does the future hold in terms of, I know this is kind of a newer initiative. Where are we going? Where are we taking the panel? And let the people know.
Yeah, we are going to continue to build the panel and onboard other types of clients. Like Crystal said, we might go after some of the content people that are looking to put out just fast articles, really quick insights. We polled top 5 recommended products the other day. Within an hour, we had 100 responses from verified bud tenders where we could look at their Instagrams and see that they actually are promoting these on their personal non-monetized pages.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
That's cool.
We're going to continue to expand in number of members as well as the additional profiling fields we're going to get from the bud tenders. Right now, we have about 75. We're going to try to bring that up to 200 to 300 different data points you can filter by.
Nice. That's awesome. Perfect. So if people want more information about this, reach out to Tim or go to the audience page, fill out the form, or there's also a solutions page for this that we can post in the chat. Look at that. I'm on it. I'm on this marketing game.
Woo! So many links today, man. Tim, you do such a good job at using all the professional words. And I'm over here like, this is not how I talk about cannabis.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm in it every day, in it and around it. So.
Awesome. Well, hey, Tim, thanks so much for joining us. I think with that, we can probably wrap up the show today.
Woo!
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Thanks so much for listening to the MRX Influencers podcast. If you want more information about QuestionPro, go to QuestionPro.com. If you want to follow me, feel free to do so on LinkedIn or Twitter. Until next time, we'll see you later.